Listen up, baby. You got a nickel 5. Lock it up. We're going nickel 5. If they run it again, we stop and call timeout, okay?
On this edition of Broncos Legends,
We get intercepted here. Let's run it back, man. We get a pick. Let's go back with it.
we're catching up with Broncos Ring of Famer Dennis Smith.
Gotta bring it today. Gotta bring it today, baby.
Dennis, we like to start all these interviews out by simply asking, what have you been up to lately?
Well, I have income property, and that's something that I started, something I understood and knew about when I left the league. I was like, I didn't want to start any crazy business that I didn't know anything about. And my grandfather bought property in Santa Monica back in the 30s, late 30s, and that was something that I understood just from watching how my family handled that. And I was like, I think that's something I could do, and it has sustained me all these years. I've been out the league 26 years, and I've been able to, provide for everybody and just live a good life and live pretty much like I live as a player. So,
What does a normal day look like for you, Dennis?
well, I just, if I have any vacancies, I have to deal with that, but that doesn't happen often, thank God. And, I just have to make sure everybody's water's running well and nobody's having any problems at any of my properties, and just go check on them every now and then.
If someone doesn't pay rent, Dennis Smith shows up at their door, huh? That's got to be pretty scary.
I'm not that scary. That's a different persona. If they don't pay their rent, they're not paying their rent. I'll call a lawyer. He'll show up at their door, not me.
All right, Dennis, going back through some of your old highlights, how would you describe the player you were?
You know what? I think I was an all-around defensive back. I don't even like to call myself a safety, strong safety, free safety, because I played all the positions. Joe Collier, who was the defensive coordinator at the time, once he found out that you could do more, he made you do more. So they realized I could play. I was pretty good covering the slots in the slot position. So on third downs, I was the third corner on the field. So once he figured out I could do it, I did it for like the first part of my career. And I was able to go to the Pro Bowl a few years just playing, basically like a safety and a corner. So I took pride in just being able to play all the different positions and just bring a lot of different things to the game and to our team. And as I got older and evolved, I realized that, the big hits, I could do that too. I knew that from college, but when I was able to just focus on just playing safety, I could make that a bigger part of my game. It was an alter ego for me because I was so different off the field. And once I got on the field, I felt like this is where I was meant to be. That's what the part that brought me into the game in the first place was the physicalness of the game. And, that's what weeded people out early. You either wanted to hit somebody or you didn't. And that part, I love that part. And I probably missed that too, but I don't miss the injuries.
Being a star out there at USC, playing with guys like Marcus Allen, Ronnie Lott, what was it like when you knew you were heading out to Denver?
Well, I think that playing with them really prepared me for going to Denver, because they were so competitive. And we also played in a time where USC was kind of like you look at Alabama now. It was like a place where you were almost intimidated to go there just because the players were so good. But if you wanted to be a great player, you wanted to find out, and that's what my attitude was. I want to find out, how good am I right now? I think all of them agree. We hated losing more than we loved winning. And they hated losing more than me. They were more competitive than I was. And I didn't think anybody was more competitive than me. But coming to Denver, got a chance to play with all these guys that should be in the Hall of Fame. Bill Thompson, Haven Moses, Randy Gradishar, Tom Jackson. There's so many guys on that team that just got overlooked. And that was a great, man, that defense carried that team to the Super Bowl. and the first Super Bowl, and they were guys I got a chance to play with, and that happens when you have a long career. You play with a lot of old guys, and then you play with the young guys. To end my career playing with Steve Atwater, who's going into the Hall of Fame, and I'm gonna be his presenter. So that is really full circle, you know. And it was it's such a great feeling to be able to play that long and have all these experiences and know all these players.
If they gonna catch him, make him pay. That's right, man. He's out, though. Way to go. Hey, they get down and stand, get up. You gotta be up.
You and Steve Atwater formed quite the safety tandem. And, you know, everybody talks about that Christian Okoye hit that Steve had, but you had a few hits that were pretty similar.
See, that was when I was young. It's funny, because I had a lot of hits like that. I got upset when they got right up, you know? It's funny how as a young player, I hit the guy from Cincinnati, he fumbled the ball and I knocked him out. He was out before he hit the ground. And I knew I knocked him out. The ball was out and Ricky Hundley's trying to get it and pick it up. He should have picked it up and ran with it, but he kicks it out of bounds. But anyway, I remember pointing at him and coming off the field, but I had to come off the field because my face mask was busted. So I had to get a new face mask. But as I got older, I remember hitting a guy from Indianapolis Colts, and his name was Roosevelt Potts. I don't know if anybody's heard of him since, but he was a big running back too. But when I hit him, this was like a few years before I retired, I knocked him out too. But I think I almost knocked myself out. And I was like, wow, it's way different now. I was like, man, I think the accumulation of all the hits over the years wasn't the same. And I can remember also I think my last year in the league, I remember we were playing the Rams, and Jerome Bettis was the running back. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get a good hit on him, right? And I remember the play where here he comes through the hole, and there was nowhere for him to go. And I ran up to him, and I was like, ooh, this is gonna be the big hit. And I hit him, and I think I hit him in his leg, and I fell off to the side, and he kept running. I was like, oh, God. I guess this is my last year because that really went wrong. And I could see in his eyes. He was like bracing for impact, like, oh, here he comes. If I ever see him, I'm going to tell him, man, I know you're disappointed. He's like, wasn't expecting that.
At pregame warm-ups, I said, we got to, while the other team's warming up, we go to the 50-yard line and stand over there and watch them so they get a good look at us, get up close and see us. He looks a lot bigger than I do, so, I tell him to come with me.
We always stand here like this, trying to intimidate. But he's bigger than me, I told you. If he's going in and loses the value when he leaves, tell him about that, too.
Do you remember you and Steve used to go up during pregame warm-ups, stand at the 50-yard line?
That was fun. That was fun because Atwater looked so much bigger than I was. He like so much taller than me. I always looked like I was looking up to him. But I know it was intimidating for the guys that, they're the receivers usually catching passes and they're coming right up to us. So they got a good eye for, and had to be intimidating. And that was the fun part, just playing with them. And I remember when Steve first got drafted, it was like me and Mike Harden were the safeties, and we're like, one of us is gone because they drafted him too high to keep everybody. So, I was fortunate enough to play with them, I think 6 years, and it was fun. It was great fun. And I feel like, him going into the Hall of Fame, a part of me goes into the Hall of Fame too, because, I feel like I was a big influence on the way he played and the way he developed. He's one of my favorite people, as a person. So, it's great, just to, play with them and him going into the Hall. And his middle name is Dennis, so that makes it even better.
Dennis, thank you so much. It was a pleasure catching up with you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Phil.